there's a lot of propaganda going on social media in a lot of different ways in order for the establishment to get the political capital needed so they can crack down on the flow of information. For example, Jesse Waters had a segment that wasn't even worth showing you guys where he was letting you know how much he cares about your kids. Jesse Waters, who is 100% okay with your family dying without health care, going into medical debt, he will step over a homeless child without blinking an eye. But he wants you to know that he cares about your child's safety on social media. These people that see children dying of cancer doesn't bad eye. They'll see a police officer shoot and kill a black child and they will immediately call the black child a thug and a terrorist. But they want us to believe that he cares about our kids. Now, why do you guys think that you're doing this thing where they like, oh my God, social media is so dangerous for your children? Guys, fam, listen to me. Listen to me. I grew up in the black ages of the internet, my friends. Do you guys understand? Gen Z, all the younger kids right now, do you guys understand how different the internet was than how it was when I grew up?
I'm older than you.
I'm not gonna say that, but
I'm older than you.
In my generation, you can go on the internet and you can see someone to get tortured and their head cut off at a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like people forgetting what the internet used to fucking be?
It was the fucking wild, wild west, dude. It was.
I turned out okay.
Yeah.
I turned out okay.
Well, it's arguable for me, but you know.
My friends, my family, people around my age generally turned out okay. This thing where they trying to protect the internet, they're not doing that to protect you. If you believe the government is doing anything to protect you, you are the sweetest summer of children.
Yes.
They are not trying to protect you.
Parents protect children. How about we do that? Why can't parents protect? I don't need the government to protect my kids. I monitor what my kids do online. I have access to my kids, everything that they don't even do anything. Like my youngest has a TikTok set to private. She's not allowed to make it public. And I monitor everything that she does on there. And in fact, usually I'm sitting beside her as we scroll through it and laugh at funny videos. Ron
DeSantis don't think you have the ability to do that. Ron DeSantis.
I think I can raise my kids, Ron. Thanks. I appreciate it. But I'm doing okay. My kids are excellent. So I will brag about that. My kids are excellent.
I don't have time to cover that as an official segment, but remember the entire right wing, and I agree with them regarding their concerns about digital IDs and that kind of stuff. Those motherfuckers was the number one people complaining about the future. They're the people who are afraid to call capitalists, so they call them globalists. They call them WEF puppets. No, they're capitalists. So capitalists try to implement digital IDs. And they're like, hey, guys, we got to be worried about the digital IDs. Ron DeSantis made a bill where they had to fucking upload their online IDs. And conservatives are not batting an eye about this. They're not official statement. We don't got time. This segment is interesting for me for a few reasons. I hope you find it interesting because they are trying to fearmonger over social media, but they're also ignoring a giant problem and misdiagnosing the problem of unhappiness. So let's just get to the video because I'm sure you're gonna have a lot to say about this as well. This video I found to be interesting propaganda. That's what I found it to be.
Something we can all relate to, the pursuit of health and happiness. In an emotional conversation with America's highest ranking doctor, Vivek Murthy, the U.S. Surgeon General wears his heart on his sleeve, talking about his own struggles with loneliness. He came to London for the World Happiness Summit this week, and his timing couldn't be better. The Global Mind Project claims the UK is the...
So, just real quick, I'm going to let it continue. But I keep making fun of all these people, all these Western chauvinists. All these people who believe that we reached the height of society. Especially as a communist, as socialist, who very offensive. Like all these people who criticize socialism and communism, while you praise this system that created so much unhappiness. Like this system is so garbage. People take pills. They call them antidepressants. And they are forced to pop them. And they are subscribed at a historic rate. And they are given to people just so they can function normally. Because this society broke their brain so much. And people think it's normal. And I brought that up to Destiny. Now, you guys think the society is so great. You got a society full of people who are depressed, worker robots. but people still talk about this country like it's amazing. So in this conversation, they're going to talk about why people are unhappy while ignoring the giant elephant in the room. I don't know, the fact that people working 50 to 60 hours a week, working paycheck to paycheck, and they can't afford to feed their family properly. Record amount of Americans have food insecurity. I don't have health care. Families struggle with medical debt. Obviously being crushed by the economy. But Misty, and I'm sorry I had to add this because as I play this segment, watch how they do everything to avoid talking about the economic impact on why people may be upset. But let's continue.
The second most unhappy country in the world. Meanwhile, in America, a new report says that for the first time, young people there between 15 and 24 aren't as happy as their older peers.
Why do you guys think that is?
He says social media silos and addictive smartphones are making us more anxious and depressed.
Misty, you see what they blamed it on?
It's the TikTok, Nick. Get off my lawn.
I'm gonna play that part again. So they explain how this generation is the least happiest generation of all time because boomers failed us. I'm sorry, guys. You don't get to tone police us when we talk about the failures of the older generation. If the older generation failed us, we are allowed to say that.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my God, Nick, you're hurting the boomers' feeling. Fuck them. If your feelings are hurt by that, then obviously you care more about your feelings than help improve our situation. It's not about your feelings. It's about addressing the reality that you guys failed your job as parents. One of the few generations that ever did that. Every generation left things all better for their children. Every revolutionary movement left the movement all better for their children. I just went on rant with Rome. Yes, we had Nick and Rome when we were talking about the failures of the Black revolutionaries, right? And there were not many people, but a handful of people like, well, come on, man, it's mean. No. You had generation after generation that built the civil rights movement for hundreds of years, for over 100 years. And then Black boomers came in like, all right, our job is done. Let's become capitalists. And now things are worse than ever for us. And then they want us to hold back. You guys failed your job. Your only job, and the only reason why I do what I do, because we're supposed to make the life for the next generation better. That's what we're supposed to do. And despite the fact that they failed, you want to know who they blame it on? They blame it on social media and smartphones. So I'm going to let it continue some more. I know I'm struggling letting this video play, but I'll let it play some more. I know you probably want to chime in with that too, so I'll let it play.
And 24 aren't as happy as their older peers. Dr. Murthy says social media silos and addictive smartphones are making us more anxious and depressed than ever.
Now, economics.
Lawmakers to step up now. Surgeon General, welcome to the program.
Look at this goofy motherfucker.
You are in England. I mean, perhaps people would be surprised to know that you're here for a happiness summit. In fact, we're talking on International Happiness Day. Why? Why is it needed? What is the problem with the deficit of happiness?
Well, the problem is that, happiness is intrinsically linked to health. When we are not feeling happy, when we're not feeling fulfilled in our lives, it affects how we show up at work, at school, in our communities. But it also ultimately has an impact on our physical health. We've now learned over the years that there's a strong connection between our mind and our body, how we feel and how we are. And the more we've learned about that, we've learned, for example, that issues like loneliness and isolation have tremendous effects in increasing the risk for both depression and anxiety, but also for heart disease, for dementia, and for premature death.
Are you surprised? And I know that you are Yorkshire born. In other words, you are a Yorkshire lad, let's say. Yes. Are you surprised that this country, pretty close to top of the tables in the OECD nations, is the second most unhappy, depressed country in the world?
Oh, you sweet summer fucking child. I'll never finish your question.
Only Uzbekistan has it worse. We're just going to play a couple of sound bites.
So, Misty, she said, it doesn't surprise you that we are the richest, most successful country in the world, but we have so many unhappy people. Why don't you follow that up with a thought and ask why that is? So, Misty, I read it a lot. I want to get your general thoughts on this. We don't have to spend too much time on this. I found this segment funny because they talk about the scourge of unhappiness while ignoring the obvious elephant in the room. But I'll let you chime in because I ran a lot on this.
No, like you're absolutely right. And I think that I love when you do segments like this, because I think it's incredibly important to study propaganda and the way that it is used against you and the things to look for and all of that stuff. I'm kind of a nerd about it. Highly recommend everybody go check out. It's a regular hobby of mine, and like especially the history, like Marshall McLuhan. Everybody go check him out. He's kind of like the godfather of media studies, sort of, and he's a genius, and that's like one of my bigger influences. But yeah, this is just it's crazy to me because listen, are phones addictive? Yes. Is TikTok addictive? Yes. Can TikTok be depressing, doom scrolling, that kind of stuff? Of course. But the idea that you are going to solely and only blame it on the invention of smartphones and social media and not examine all of the other things listen, I'm an older millennial. I'm 42. So like I've been through so many global events at this point. It's just one right after the other. We've been pummeled our entire lives with bullshit. And I mean, obviously that wears on you. And in this country, at least in the United States, people like to pretend like everything's fine. Y'all, our homeless population out of control. Kids are going to bed hungry. Like it's not good. We are a third world country with a first world country mask on. Like that's what's going on in this country. And people refuse to recognize it. A lot of that is propaganda too. They're kind of feeding you this existence of an America that is not real. But it's just, all of this stuff, I think, and this douche canoe on here with the smug little smile, acting like he's got some kind of knowledge. It's just absurd. It's absurd. And then Christiane Amanpour very clearly like just gushing over him, like you're here for a happiness summit. Tell us why. Like, come on, girl.
This dork annoys me because he made good points, but he obviously missing the correct conclusion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he explains how happiness is linked to our mind and body. Oh, very big brain thinking here. I guess you need your master's degree to come up with that one, didn't you?
Right?
So we all fucking know that, sir. Then how long did it take you to study that? Right? We all know that our happiness is linked to our mind and body. You guys see how they come on TV like, hey man, I'm an expert. I study at fucking Harvard for 6 years. I'm here to tell you that your happiness is linked to your mind and your body. Am I so great? We knew that, sir. What's the thing that holding us back from achieving happiness with our mind and body? I recovered from my knee injury. I fucked my knee up. Last year, you guys know I was getting back to Muay Thai. My knee recovered. I don't know what happened because I don't have health care. So it was never diagnosed. I just put ice on that motherfucking rest for like 3-4 months. People like, Nick, did you turn your ACL? I don't fucking know. Didn't have an x-ray.
I hope not.
Say the way it means to be an American, fam. Yeah. I don't know. I think I tore something in that motherfucker. Anyway, the point is my knee feel better now. I have a heavy bag. I've been hitting the heavy bag a lot recently. I've been playing a lot of basketball. I used to be a really, really good basketball player. I got my shot back. I got my mid-range shot back. I feel so happy about that. I set these goals. I'm going to start weightlifting again. I used to be a heavy weightlifter. And that improved my happiness alone dramatically.
Yeah.
Just becoming active again. Because I used to be extremely, extremely active. Became a lot more inactive. Gained some weight after COVID. And then was hit with depression. I'm smart to know, especially as someone who's a martial artist who trained martial arts for years, especially as someone who grew up active, my depression is linked with inactivity. And I do this thing where I'll be lazy sometimes thinking that would make me happy. But no, it does not. I need to be training. Even if I'm not a professional fighter, I need to be training for something. Yeah. And ever since I started training Muay Thai again and boxing again, also my energy levels are back. My thinking level is higher. My depression is gone. Guys, I went through a lot of people who been following me for a long time knew what happened to my sister, my family. I went through a deep depression like 3 years ago. I got myself out of it, and getting back into training is one of it. And this is what this guy accurately explained, how your connection between your mind and your body is very important for your happiness.
Of course it is. Obviously. Listen, I do CrossFit, and CrossFit literally has like an ad that like CrossFit's good for loneliness because it's very community based. Yeah. So you go in and it's people of all ages, and you can hang out with people and get an hour-long workout in, and you're good. This is not new information. We know these things to be true.
Yeah, you see, I used to pretend to be an expert, giving us information we already fucking know. Now, there's a reason why I went on that long spiel, right?
Yeah.
What prevents most people from doing that?
Poverty, lack of access to decent food deserts.
Misty, you know how many these professional managerial class articles I had read in my lifetime, where they were like, the key to happiness, some tips for working class people to help with their mental anxiety or whatever. And then they'd be like, tip number 1, wake up at 7 a.m. I recommend doing 10 minutes of yoga every day at 7 a.m. That is completely irrelevant advice to give my mother, who was a single mother of 3 kids, who was up at 6 a.m. every goddamn day before she was forced to commute to work at 9 a.m. Does an average worker who works 50 to 60 hours per week have time to fucking sit under a waterfall and meditate and do yoga?
Right?
Do you guys see where I'm going with this? You guys see how the culture of capitalism in this country inherently leads to unhappy people. You guys are creating worker robots with no culture and no point of living. So then they were like, oh my God, why are people so unhappy? If only they did more yoga. these professional managerial scum, these people who get 2 months of vacation every year, a month or 2 of it, they take 3 vacations a year. They make about 2 times more than the average American. And they're like, man, why Americans are so unhappy? Have you guys ever considered yoga? Do you know how fucking irritated this has made me my entire fucking life? And I'm glad I have a platform that I can rant about this kind of shit now.
Yeah. Yes. It's so out of touch with reality. You know what I mean? Like these ivory tower turds, finger wagging at you because you don't want to get up and do yoga. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And again, ignoring all of the underlying issues, right? Ignoring, like, it's just do yoga. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's not, that you don't solve poverty with yoga. That's not a thing.
And I could play more of the video, but I think it made its point. It was a drag the segment on long. I think it made its point. There's I want people to decolonize your mind, because these capitalists keep making excuses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When they bring all this shit up, it's excuses. Oh, people are unhappy because of social media. Oh, blah, blah. People got access to information. That's why they're unhappy. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Do people believe that?
Yes.
I don't believe that shit at all. And guys, you guys are open to disagree with me on this. Like, I'm just telling you guys my opinion. When people say this shit, I don't fucking believe it. It's people who are Western chauvinists. And remember, guys, we cover on RBN, a large amount of the left are Western chauvinists. And people who consider themselves socialists. Bernie Sanders is a Western chauvinist. A Western chauvinist is a person who inherently believes Western society and Western cultures are better than other cultures. So the question is, why are other countries, even countries that are way poorer than ours, happier than us? You know,
well, and that's another thing. We never forget the fact that we ignore all of the underlying issues that cause the unhappiness here, but we never look at the other countries who are happy and be like, maybe we should try some of that. You know what I mean? Like, we're so arrogant. Like, we got to do it. It's our way. Like, obviously our way is better. Clearly it's not, motherfuckers. Misty, clearly it's not working out for you.
Misty, you want to know who the 5th happiest country in the world is?
And I would love to know.
The 5th happiest country in the world is Israel.
That's not surprising.
It's almost like if you get free healthcare that's sponsored by another fucking country,
you get free healthcare.
You get to steal people's houses. It's something about having free healthcare provided by other country and having diplomatic immunity by the United States to do whatever you want, steal houses, that make people fucking happy.
Yeah. I mean, you get told on a regular basis that you're God's chosen people, and that's why you get to just go steal this person's house because something. I mean, listen, there's a lot of brainwashing going on in Israel. Lots. Levels I'm not sure we've ever seen, honestly. Like, you say all the time that the United States is the most propagandized country on earth. I thought that was true. I genuinely think it's Israel.
Yeah, that's a pushback. I'm like, okay, fair.
Yeah,
I don't fight it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I got my opinion. I think Israel propaganda is cartoonish. But if people say if Israel most propaganda, I'm like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
You want to know who else is one of the most happiest countries?
Who?
Sweden, Finland, and Norway.
Yeah, those are not surprising. They always are. They have been.
And they are welfare states that get their health care and their social services essentially paid for by the military industrial complex, who steals and siphon resources. Sweden was the largest arms exporter to Yemen, the genocide in Yemen. They are arms exporting country, and they use the ill-gotten gains of their large arm industry to pay for social services, let alone the exploitation of the global south. I do personally have to read more up on, but they did a lot of research exploitation. And you guys notice that these countries that exploit other countries in order to provide social services for their people are the most happiest. And people wonder why that's confusing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, and it still blows my mind that there's so many poor white people in the United States that vote against their interests, because the United States is the biggest thief, the biggest I would say the most violent empire in modern America history. Despite all the gold, despite all the land and oil, despite all the resources that they stole, they still left your poor white ass broke. Shouldn't you guys be the most angry?